Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Clara here, and why I personally think Clara is really good. And I know a lot of people have been saying Clara is good, but I want to kind of just explain it and also give a bit of appreciation to Clara here, as she's a really powerful character, and there are certain things that maybe people do not realize about Clara right away that I'd like to talk about in today's video. So going over Clara, I just want to go over the basics of Clara real quick and also explain some things, since I have been seeing some people mention that they have gotten an Etalon 1 Clara, which a lot of people don't really seem to know whether or not that's good. My personal opinion, I think that's actually phenomenal, and I'll explain why. But Clara is essentially a character who relies on countering enemies and also having Savarok's mark counter on the enemy. If the counter mark is not on the enemy, she is not going to be able to counter them. As you see here in the talent, Sever will mark enemies who attack Clara with his mark of counter and retaliate with a counter, dealing physical damage equal to a percentage of Clara's attack, which most of these things have to do with Clara's attack. So of course you want to build a bunch of attack on Clara, since her counter attacks are her main form of damage and can lead to very, very high amounts of damage if she is built a certain way. And once again, with the talent here, when she gets attacked, that's how she'll be able to counter them, because now they're marked. Something about Clara, though, is the fact that when she uses her skill, the marks will be removed after the skill is used. The reason why I think E1 is really good is because when you use the skill, your mark will not be removed. What this means is Clara will be able to do, as we see right here, she's able to do additional damage depending on if they have the mark or not, which essentially means that if your Clara is able to have the mark on the enemy, now you're doing additional damage, which means Clara is doing more DPS output as a result. And who wouldn't love seeing the mech just constantly punch things? I personally love Svarog. I think it's kind of like you get a 2-in-1 bundle with this character, and it's pretty cool. And of course, with her ultimate, she has damage. The damage dealt to her is reduced, which is really good. She has a great chance of being attacked by enemies for 2 turns. The counter is enhanced. When an ally is attacked, you also do the counter, and the damage multiplier against the enemy is also increased. Enemies also adjacent will take damage, and when you have her E2, after using the ultimate, her attack increases by 30% for 2 turns. I think her E1 and E2 are pretty good. E2 just allows her to do more damage. E1 is just really good because, once again, those counter marks do matter, since, one, you need the counter marks in order to counter. Now, of course, when the enemy attacks you, you will inflict the mark on them, but it is, of course, beneficial to keep that mark, because now your skills will do more damage if you choose to skill, which attacks every enemy instead of just one. So if you taunt all the enemies and then they all attack Clara, which is the ideal scenario, assuming your Clara is not about to go down, then I feel like it's really good, because now what you could do after they all attack her is skill, and now she's doing a good amount of damage against enemies, and she's a really, really powerful character as a result. Also, for her technique, she immediately does the taunt, which is excellent because now Clara will be getting hit. I feel so bad that she's getting hit. She already doesn't have shoes. Like, it's horrible. But in the long run, I mean, or in reality, she's beating them up as a retaliation. Or rather, Savrok is beating them up, because why would you hurt Clara here? I don't know. But another cool thing is her traces. The reason why her traces are pretty cool is because she has a fixed chance to remove debuffs on her, so if enemies reduce her defense, her attack, or even inflict her with status ailments, you will have a fixed chance to remove debuff, so that's really good. And this is every time she's attacked as well, so she has a really good chance of removing her debuffs, even though it is a low fixed chance, which fixed chance means that it can't go beyond this. If it was base chance, there would be a way to increase the percentage, but because it's fixed, you cannot. However, it's still really good because Clara is going to be getting hit majority of the time. Another cool thing is she has a chance to resist crowd control debuffs. Crowd control debuffs are, I haven't seen them too often yet, but crowd control debuffs are essentially where I guess, since Clara has Savrok, which this same thing applies to Jing Yuan when he comes out, But for Clara's case, I believe that will not allow her to counterattack. In Jingy Win's case, when he has the crowd control debuff on him, he will not be able to use the Lightning Lord. So this debuff is really bad in the case of if you get it inflicted onto you. But in a way, kinship is able to possibly get rid of that debuff, and this reduces the chance of having that debuff on you as it is. So these two are really good for ensuring that Clara will always be able to counterattack, always be able to dish out good outputs of damage. Also, her last one is called Revenge, and it's definitely revenge, all right, because now your counter damage is increased by 30%. But yeah, Clara is just really good. She's a powerhouse of a character. I understand why people love her so much or want her. You do get her E1. I would not honestly be disappointed with it because now you can always do extra damage to your skill. Your damage output is increased even further. And who wouldn't love having Clara on their team? Another thing with Clara though is I personally like using a healer with her more than a shielder, believe it or not. Her and March 7th is a cool combo, but I kind of like the heals in the case of if the shield breaks, because if you think about it, you are getting attacked very often. And while the shield can be really good, let's say you build a strong enough shield, excellent, because that means now that the shield won't be broken and Clara's doing what she can. Also, with light cones, there's typically good amounts of light cone options that will allow you to either restore some HP, allow you to have damage reduction even further. So shielding is really good. I just personally like healing though, because preservation class characters, from what I've seen, have the highest taunt value in the game. Now, March 7th is pretty good because, you know, she is able to do her skill, and what her skill allows her to do, the ally's current HP percentage is 30% or higher, greatly increases the chance of enemies attacking that ally. So March 7th is a really good partner. I just personally prefer heals though, because heals can come in pretty clutch. If you have a character like Bailu, I would definitely recommend Bailu and Clara. It's been working out pretty good for me. You don't, Natasha's also a good option. In reality, if the enemies are weak to physical, you can honestly get away with putting a healer and a shielder if you really want to, because it'll be really beneficial as well, since you'll always have a healthy Clara, and Clara being alive is what matters because she's the one that's going to be taking almost all the damage. So I think Clara is pretty good for that purpose, and I personally just like the healer though because I don't want the aggro to go to a different character, and I typically always like using her technique before battle because this will allow me to always have aggro just right from the start, because if you don't have the aggro immediately, they may attack your DPS characters like Zila, Himiko, and so on, and those characters don't really appreciate being attacked that often since they are more squishy. I tried using her with Japard, and it's not too bad when Japard is able to freeze enemies, but the only issue I have with Japard is he's really good at pulling an aggro. Now, with Clara's ultimate, this is completely fine because Clara is still able to damage enemies with her ultimate, but if the ultimate is not active, then it kind of does suck when a character like Japard does take the aggro, which is why March 7th is still a pretty good partner. But once again, I personally prefer the healers because I just like being able to heal Clara in times of need, and it's been pretty successful, but either or can honestly work. And overall, this character is just really strong. Like, I know a lot of people are saying her damage output is really good, and the reason for it is because one, she's being constantly attacked. Two, she's your aggro puller in your team. She can technically be your main DPS even if you build that much attack on her and you make her that powerful. But I like pairing her with another DPS character, and I just go to town. And characters that can weakness break are also pretty good. And also, Clara is really good against Simulated Universe 3 and Simulated Universe 5. Japard gets his booty kicked, and so does Kafka. Kafka's really annoying to deal with though, but Clara is really good for those types of worlds. Any enemy that is weak to physical will have to face the wrath of Clara, and that's not really nice. Like, Clara's gonna beat your butt up, and I love that about her. She's just like this innocent character that can just beat you up. But I think I've rambled enough for this video, and I explained pretty much why the E1 would be pretty good if you do want that for Clara, and overall, Clara is just a really good character. Of course, though, if you guys did enjoy this video or have any questions about Clara, let me know in the comments down below. I just feel like she's a very, very, very good character. Nobody should be overlooking this character. If you pull her, please use her because she is so freaking cute. She's so freaking good. I've been clearing so much content with this character, and it's just insane how much DPS output she can have. So just pay attention to your Clara. Make sure you have that healer or shielder to make sure she's good and well, and you will definitely be clearing a bunch of content in the game. So yeah, I hope all of you, though, have a nice one. Peace.